How's it guys, this is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video we're going to be talking about the Game Week 16 team selection, also known as the Wildcard draft weekend that we've been going through. It's not a lot of time to contemplate over these transfer decisions for our Wildcard in Game Week 16, but I'm going to be posting my most updated draft in this video, and then we'll be talking about the upcoming logistics as well. In this video, we're also going to be taking a look at Game Week 15, which happened last night, and how the squad got on in that game week. So that's something you're interested in. Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So the deadline with Dayvy live stream will be taking place today. The deadline is actually a little bit earlier, so please take note of the time in your own time zone, and then I will be live streaming either 30 minutes or 1 hour before the deadline. Just keep yourself updated on Twitter by following my Twitter account and turning those notifications on, because I will always tweet when I'm going live so you guys don't miss it out. You could also put on YouTube notifications so that you know when I go live as well, if you don't really want to have Twitter notifications on for my account. But the deadline stream is going to be the most updated, the most final draft that I do. The reason being, we might have some injury news, we might have some team news coming up before the deadline, so that I can't react to in this video, but in the deadline stream I will be able to, and then we can make changes around that. I don't think there's going to be too many changes from the draft in this video to the final draft in the deadline stream, so if you can't make the stream, don't worry. This draft is a perfectly adequate draft for you guys. I reckon that this could even be better than maybe the final draft I go through. You know how in the last couple minutes before the deadline your mind goes all over the place, and maybe I make some decisions that aren't too good, and then you guys are stuck with a good draft. So just keep that in mind as well. Make your own decisions. It is your own team, and your budget is going to be a little bit different to me, so your draft could look a lot different. But I just wanted to give you guys a reminder of the deadline stream, because it is probably the most important part of getting the most updated squad that I do use for Game Week 16. So getting on to the Game Week 15 review, another good week. I think this has been a couple of green arrows on the trot here. Some nice consecutive green arrows are always welcomed, and we managed to have another green arrow. I think it was about 300k places, so we're currently sitting at that 1.1 million mark, which is looking a little bit better. I would have liked to have been in the top 1 million, but I think by the halfway point of this season, we got to at least be in that top 1 million, because at least then we can build onto it. So hopefully Game Week 16 is as good as Game Week 15 was. We scored 69 points, which is a lot above the average, thanks to some differentials in our team that we'll be talking about. It's a little bit tough to wildcard after such a good consecutive run of green arrows, because basically it says that we're doing something right, and then the wildcard can come in and completely mess that around. So hopefully Game Week 16 is as good as Game Week 15. Starting off in goal, we have Martinez, who yet again is being one of the heroes of our team recently. At 10 points, a lovely double-digit haul from our goalkeeper, which has actually put him on the bounce for quite a couple big scores in the past couple game weeks. So 10 points is really good for Aston Villa, considering that they went down to 10 men, and I was really worried about his clean sheet then, but luckily Aston Villa just turned on the flames, went on and won 3-0, which was a great result for them. The rest of the defense also had a good performance. We have Cancelo here with 7 points. Now 7 points for Cancelo was actually quite low. He had so many big chances created, it was crazy. 7 points almost feels like a blank from the Man City defender, but that just shows how good he is playing. With Cancelo, he was basically guaranteed to start after that news. Because of that right back position, Man City don't have a lot of rotation, so 7 points is always welcomed, but having watched the game, I do feel a little bit greedy and wanted him to get at least the double-digit haul. Then we go on to Robertson, and now Liverpool in the first half. I don't really know what happened in the first half. They were totally destroying West Brom. I think it was the fact that West Brom was sitting quite deep, but then in the second half, West Brom decided to play, and they actually played really well in that second half. So I think that goal was thoroughly deserved from West Brom, but unfortunately it wiped out that Liverpool clean sheet, and the newly transferred in Robertson, who was our 1 week punt this week, didn't get any points. In the first half, Robertson created some really good chances, but unfortunately the Liverpool forwards couldn't get on the end of those, so the 2 points is basically what we have to take for our 1 week punt. Then Kyle Walker-Peters, who returned a clean sheet and 2 bonus points, which is always going to be welcomed. Southampton seemed to have shored up their defense quite a bit. For me, it was the best result because they drew with Fulham 0-0, so I didn't have any Southampton forwards, which I was a little bit worried about going into Game Week 15, but I happily take 2 bonus points and a clean sheet from Kyle Walker-Peters. The midfield, we have some good stories and we have some bad stories. So the bad stories, unfortunately, our 1 week punt with Rafinha didn't kind of edge out. It was quite a close game which I guess you could have expected with Leeds versus Burnley, but still, Leeds got forward plenty. The chances are there to score, but unfortunately Rafinha didn't manage to get anything. A lot of unfortunately, so apologies if I am repeating that, but it was a kind of good week, but it could have been an amazing week if the players just finished the chances. Bruno Fernandes definitely finished his chances there, 12 points, goal and assist. Just looks like such a consistent threat in FPL, on for a cracking season. So definitely going to be basically a hold for the entire season in my own FPL team. Then we got to the captaincy, Salah with 2 points. I didn't get any returns there. It seems like those deep lying sides don't really favor Mo Salah. I think he prefers a lot more space in behind so he can dribble. When you're stacking that box, he sometimes struggles with the dribbling through players. And overall, Liverpool just looked really lackluster going forward. Completely opposite to the Crystal Palace fixture. With the 7-0, it looked like they couldn't even put the ball in the back of the net. Only that Sadio Mane chance in the first half basically was their only big chance on target. Then Kevin De Bruyne with 3 points. So Kevin De Bruyne also didn't return anything. I was happy that I managed to hold him though, because there could have been a potential for him to score against Newcastle. I think he missed a very good one-on-one, which is a little bit disappointing. But 3 points. If you went and captained Kevin De Bruyne, ironically, it was better than Mo Salah. I don't think you would have thought that on Saturday afternoon. But that's just how FPL sometimes goes. Going forward, there's only one man to talk about here. Actually, two men, but the main man of the moment is Ollie Watkins. So a hat-trick of assists, not a hat-trick of goals, which was a little bit disappointed with. And 11 points, like Cancelo, 11 points from him almost feels like a mini blank. I know 11 points, double digit, how can that be a blank? But he had so many big chances and so many shots that he should have converted. That goal to break his goal drought just seems to be evading him constantly. And with Ollie Watkins though, 11 points, I'll definitely take it over a 1 or a 2-pointer. Calvert-Lewin with a 1-pointer because of the yellow card. I just think that Everton maybe recently aren't looking as strong. They have been getting the results though, so I do still have faith in Calvert-Lewin to do well, but I don't think I'm going to be keeping him on my wild card. It's just a tough decision, but Everton have some tough fixtures coming up. But if you want to stick with Calvert-Lewin, that's perfectly fine. He's been really consistent this season. He's not going to be picking up your 20-point hauls, but the 6 and the 5-point hauls over every game we kind of pick up. But this game week, it was just the 1-pointer. And then Bamford with a penalty and some bonus points to boot. So it was quite interesting that Bamford actually took the penalty. Apparently how it's going is that Klich and Bamford are basically the two penalty takers, and then depending on whoever misses last, kind of it rotates. So Klich missed the last one apparently, so now Bamford's on penalty, so we will wait until he misses a penalty. Hopefully never. Hopefully this season he goes and scores all the penalties, because just imagine Bamford with those stats when he was off penalties. Imagine those stats when he's on penalties. I mean, his XG with non-penalty threat was absolutely sensational. So with penalties added to that, he almost looks like an essential option, and I would recommend to get him if you don't have him. So now going on to my latest wildcard draft. We're not going to talk about transfers because I am on my wildcard, so there has been some variation in the drafts previously to this one. So I won't be going over every position because I think you guys are a little bit tired of the set template that I have been producing over the previous videos. So I'll just talk about the changes to it and the potential transfers that I will be making from now till game week 19. So in game week 18, we will be using the free hit that's basically been confirmed with the drafts that I've been producing, because the drafts have been heavily favored by the bench boost, and I don't have many blank game week 18 players. I think Cancelo, Son and Kane are the only players in this draft that have a blank game week 18 fixture, so I definitely won't be going into game week 18 with only 3 players, so that'll be the free hit. And then from game week 16 to 19, I have 2 free transfers. So 1 free transfer before game week 17 and then 1 free transfer before game week 19. I'm going to remind you guys again that if you do use your free hit, the next game week you only have 1 free transfer. You don't have 2 free transfers if you stacked one before, or you had 1 free transfer before you used the free hit. You only have 1 free transfer over the free hit. So I'll be using those transfers to 1, take Harry Kane to Jamie Vardy. I think I'll probably all do that before game week 17. So for the game week 17 team selection, it's probably going to be Jamie Vardy instead of Harry Kane. And then that transfer allows me to negate taking a hit. I could do 2 free transfers in game week 19, but that'll require a hit. I don't really want to take that. And then in game week 19, I could potentially take Son to Rashford or Son to Madison or wherever I want that's cheaper. I was looking at Sadio Mane, but unfortunately I can't fit him in the side without kind of dropping Kane to someone else. I didn't have the budget to do that. If you do have the budget to do that, that's probably the move that I would go for. And then the other change that we have made is that Cancelo comes into the side. So the thinking behind this is that Man City have great fixtures coming up after the double game week 19, and that's basically why I don't want to take a Man City defender out in my current draft, because they have lovely fixtures coming up after, and I don't want to waste a free transfer on that. The only thing that I am skeptical about is that I'm basically planning for the future, so Cancelo has to play in double game week 19, otherwise it's going to be a waste of a player. player. And that's the one thing that I'm thinking about. Maybe it's worth just taking a cheap alternative, maybe a Reece James or something like that, and know that they're going to have a double game week instead of banking on Cancelo starting in game week 19. And if he doesn't, I'm going to be really regretful. So that's the only thing I'm thinking about. So that's the reason why Cancelo might not be in my final draft. But currently, this is how I'm setting up. The front line has basically stayed the same since about game week 15's wildcard draft. It's only the back line that's changing. And I don't think there's too much emphasis that actually has to take place on that defense because most of these players should generally score about the same. I had to include Balbuena in this draft because I wanted to afford Harry Kane. If I do go for Jamie Vardy, I will upgrade Balbuena, but I currently want to have Jamie Vardy out for game week 16 because I think that he might be benched because of this constant injury that he's been having. And I don't think 48 hours is enough rest for him, and I wasn't really favoring any other striker but Harry Kane in this one. You could go for Roberto Firmino maybe as a 1 week punt, but I think that Harry Kane is going to be worth it in that game week 16 fixture. So this has basically been the draft. As I mentioned, this is the most updated that I have, but in the deadline stream, that'll be the most final draft that you guys can have and that I can produce. So hopefully I do see you there. This is basically a wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like it if you did, and subscribe if you're new and have not subscribed yet. I'll be checking you guys on my Twitter at DayvyFPL, otherwise in the deadline stream. So hopefully I see you guys there. I'm going to be signing off. This has been DayvyFPL, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.